Hi guys, here with my Nikola, and it's time to install a seat. Now, I was in San Diego a couple weeks ago riding with a group ride, and there were at least a couple other guys that had Nikolas there. One of them had this seat, this identical seat actually, mounted on his handle. And I rolled it around and I thought, this feels comfortable, and thought, okay, it's time to mount one on my Nikola. Now, he was actually making use of one of my previous videos that I had created where I showed how you can use this bicycle spring mount for bicycle seats. I did one for the MSX and for the Monster, and so he made use of that idea, and using the same clamp, he used some band clamps and clamped on the handle, and it worked great. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to spend a bit more time and hopefully come up with a bit of a better mount than just basic band clamps. I'm going to show you the entire process. There might be a few iterations involved to arrive at the final solution. If some of you guys don't care, then you can stop watching now, or I think I'm going to have a time index, and you can just skip to the end or skip around to wherever whatever you want to watch. But I'm going to show all the nitty-gritty details and how I'm going to get this seat mounted. Okay, so first let me show you how the seat itself gets attached to this. Now there will be links to everything in the description if you do want to try this yourself. I really like this seat. I bought the same one that he had. The one I've used before on my MSX, which I need to switch out, is a harder plastic, and it's not super comfortable. This was comfortable because it's a gel, and I was really surprised how comfy it was. So I bought he gave me the link to the exact one that he bought, and that's what I bought. And that's it. And of course, you can loosen this and move the seat back and forth. I'll just leave it here for the time being, and then let me show you how it gets attached to the handle. Okay. Now the details on how it actually gets mounted to the handle, that's what I'm going to be working out. But it's going to be mounted something like this. And the seat, you kind of want your butt towards the back so that the geometry with your legs are comfortable. But you're going to be able to move this around up here to get the most comfortable position. But I think it's going to be something like this, with the seat slightly pointed downward, and again, I think I'll be able to adjust the angle if I need to. Okay, so let me show you how I'm going to mount this now. All right, now how I've mounted my seats before and how he mounted his seat was pretty much directly between this and whatever you're attaching it to. Now, my MSX and Monster, I used some leather because I didn't want this directly touching the handle. And in those cases, it kind of, this this kind of went around the handle and it fit better, but here it definitely does not. It would only touch a couple points, and I want to distribute the load across this whole handle. So I have 3 approaches here I'm going to try. The first approach is using this insulation board that you can buy at your home center. In this case, it's 1.5 inches thick. I just happen to have a bunch of this around, so that's what I'm going to use, but you can buy up to 2-inch thick. 4x8 2-inch thick piece costs about $20, so it's not very expensive, and you need to have a whole lot of it around. They actually, I think, sell smaller sections. This stuff is pretty stiff, but it does compress a little bit, which is what I want. I don't know whether it's going to crush though when you're actually sitting on it. That's going to be the test. Plan B, if this crushes, is use this foam, which is, it compresses a little bit more than this, but this will not crush. And this is just some foam I got left over from something I received, packaging. I tend to keep foam in packaging just for purposes like this. You never know when it might come in handy if you build things. And plan C, if none of those work, I think will be wood. Now I do a lot of woodworking, and that's one of my passions, so it's not a problem making out of wood, but it will take more time. So I'm hoping I don't have to go down the path of using wood. So let me show you how I'm going to attach this to the handle. Foam is going to be going like so. Now I'm going to have to cut an arch in the foam so that the foam is fully touching the handle, but it's going to be flat on the top so that the spring is fully touching the foam on the top. So this foam is going to act as an interface between the seat and the round wheel. I'm going to use this profile transfer tool to capture the radius of this handle. There. Now I can transfer this to the foam. Before I cut the profile on the foam, I need to shape the foam, get it to its basic size. And I'm going to use a table saw. Works great for cutting foam. All right, the first cut is done, and I'm going to peel off this surface material, which I don't need. It's going to get messy. And then there's another piece here on this side. Okay, next I'm going to cut a dado down the center. I'll show you what that's going to be for in a second. Okay, so this dado that I cut in the foam is so that it fits right over the handle, and And you'll see next when I cut the profile on this foam. The idea is really I just want to protect the edges of the handle so that when I use these clamps, they don't scratch. They rub against the outside edge here instead of rubbing against the edge of the handle. We'll see if that works. Okay, well, I didn't totally think this through because I just realized that the only way this would work is if I cut the curve only on the inside, which I can't do. I'm going to be using the bandsaw to cut this. So that's not going to work, and that's why I cut multiple pieces of this foam so I can have multiple tries. Okay, that's looking really good. Beautiful, full contact with the handle. Now, there's another change. So I don't want to put this spring steel directly on the foam because these two bars, there's not much surface area. So I think they would tend to want to crush this. So the next step is I'm going to put some plywood, cut some plywood that'll interface between the seat and the foam. And you're going to have a lot of surface area here and a lot of surface area in the top. So I'm really feeling like this foam's not going to crush. So that's the next step, fabricate this plywood. Okay, so I added these rabbets onto the piece of wood so that when the mount is attached, it registers onto this piece and will not shift around when you're sitting on it. Okay, I am going to mount this wood to the foam with double-sided tape. course, when it's secured to the wheel, the real strength will be the clamps going around it, which will really hold everything together. All right, now it's time to paint it black, and then I can mount it. While the paint dries, I'm going to put some Velcro on the handle, which I really should have done a long time ago, because any Nikola riders know that the handle can rattle. So I'm going to use this industrial strength Velcro. I'm not going to use a dual lock because dual lock loses its strength after many disconnections, whereas the Velcro doesn't. This stuff just looks beefy. So I'm going to put the loop, not the fabric, on this piece. And of course I cleaned everything very thoroughly. This industrial stuff feels like it has industrial strength adhesive on it too. All right. Now I'm attaching this to the rubber. So I did clean. I cleaned this with mineral spirits. Okay, well, yeah, I just learned that I need to move this Velcro down, because I'm not sure how much this handle actually touches. Oh, this stuff really is tough. Ah. Wow. Woo. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to reuse it. If it's not super sticky later, I'll just put a fresh piece on. Still not touching. Very interesting. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I can see. Actually, looks like the handle, this part of the handle is not touching this at all. Funny. All right. Plan B, I think I'll have to put something down, maybe a piece of leather down, and then put this on top of that to build it out a bit. All right. Yeah, this is losing some of its stick. Strong stuff. Alright, so what I've done is I've attached the Velcro to a piece of 8-ounce leather. It's about a thick, 1/8 of an inch thick. And then I put this really high quality double-sided tape. It's made by Fast Cap. Very strong stuff. Let's try attaching that. This is just a reference where I was to mount it. Nope. Still loose. Yeah, I have to make it thicker. Plus, this doesn't look like it wants to stick to the rubber, which is unfortunate. So I'm gonna have to see if I can find a glue. A glue that'll stick to rubber. Alright, I have doubled up the leather. So it's a solid 1/4 inch thick now. And added more double-sided tape. Let's see if this works. Yes. Finally. I don't think that's going to rattle. Yep, Velcro popped off this handle. So, definitely going to have to find some kind of a better glue. I'm going to leave this as is for a little while, since you'll see I don't envision actually using this handle much after I get the seat attached. But we'll see if I can find a better glue. Okay, painted. Unfortunately, I bet some of you guys that saw me spray painting this were saying, no, don't do it. Unfortunately, I forgot that spray paint, at least the spray paint I'm using by Rust-Oleum, has its solvent is acetone, which acetone melts foam. So fortunately, it only melted the outside, so it looks kind of crappy right now. I'm still going to use this, at least for this test piece. Fortunately, I did cut more than one of these. And, you know, in hindsight, I probably didn't need to paint this anyway, because once I have this mounted, I'm going to wrap probably electrical tape around it to, you know, hide the clamps and just, I don't know. Yeah, just make it look a little neater. So I don't think you'll see any of the white anyway. So and the next version I do, if I do one, you know, if I wrap all this up and it's working good, I'll probably just leave it. You won't see any of this. And it looks like it really did only affect the outer surface. Lessons learned. Okay, it's time to mount the saddle. So I've determined that I'm going to mount this so that this bar is level with the ground. And that puts the seat at just a slight, very slight downhill profile. And the seat will be at the back of the wheel, but I have about 8 inches of movement this way with adjustments. So I think I can get a good position for my feet once I get this mounted. So let's get the spring clamps out. Okay, I've marked where I'm going to be mounting this with tape, and now I'm going to wrap this part of the handle with electrical tape. And that's just to minimize scratching of the bar clamp, of the band clamps when I put them on. Okay, I have tightened this down about as much as I think I want to. Doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. The foam has compressed by it's probably half as thick as it was before. But the integrity of the foam seems to be holding up just fine, actually. And it's serving exactly what I wanted it to do, to be the interface between this flat piece and the curved handle, with providing good support, essentially a large surface area across the handle. So I'm happy with that, and I think I'm going to give it a quick little test ride to see how it feels, and then adjust the position of the seat. And by the way, this handle, I just took off the Velcro piece over here and left the leather down here, and it seems actually it's removed the rattle. I think maybe it just needed something soft to be resting against. So I'm not going to worry about actually having it stuck down here. So it's all looking good. Let's take this for a quick little ride. Okay, just got back from a test ride, and it's a success and it's a failure. This is not going to work. You can feel it getting crunchy, and it's not. It's too much movement. I don't think it wouldn't last. But so that's and I think Plan B is gone too. So I'm going to go with where did I put it? Well, that block of wood I showed you, Plan C, I'm just going to go right to that. I don't think I use any kind of a foam. So I'm going to use a block of wood with some leather interface between that and the handle. But it was a success in that, wow, this is really comfy to ride seated. Really it is. I'm going to angle this a little bit more, pointing down, and I had to move this forward about 4 inches or so, and that was great. Sitting on the wheel and didn't have to lean much, and whew, it moved, and really comfortable height wise. That's great. It's gonna be fun riding this seated. All right, so take everything apart and basically build that that foam piece out of wood, and I'll show you that next. Okay, let's try this again now. Wood, and I have a piece of leather. Again, it's 8-ounce leather, which is about 1/8 inch thick. And I'm really hopeful this one's gonna work. I'm gonna put 3 clamps on this time. Okay, it's nice and secure. Now I'm gonna put some tape on it. I know I talked about using electrical tape, but I think I'm gonna use duct tape instead. Now I'm gonna use this low residue duct tape first. It's made by 3M, and again, there'll be links down below for all this stuff. So this is basically a very cheap version of gaffer's tape. Gaffer's tape is historically been very pricey stuff, but it has great adhesion, but it leaves no residue. So you can tape stuff. It's used in the movie industry to tape down things, but you can remove it without all kinds of gunk on it, which is like a normal tape. So I'm going to put this on first so I can take it off easily, and then I'm going to wrap black on top of it because black will look better, obviously. All right. It's not the prettiest having to use tape, but I think it looks better than having the band clamps exposed. All right, looking good. Let's take it outside and show you how it performs. Okay, so first thing I want to highlight, and I've experienced this with my MSX and Monster, is with this seat you don't need to use the trolley handle. It's I'm 5'11", and I barely have to lean a little bit to carry it, to move it. It's very comfortable. Now if you do want to use the trolley handle, still works fine, but again, I don't think there's any advantage. So I don't anticipate using it too much. So again, with this block of wood, raising it up like this, I barely have to squat to sit on the wheel now. So for you tall guys, I think this is brilliant. You could adjust the size of this block if you were to make something like what I've done. You could make it taller or make it shorter, need be. So another thing I like about using a seat like this is that when I'm turning, it hits my inner thighs a little bit, you know, if I want it to, and it just provides just a little bit of support. You can feel it, and it makes it feel like you have more control when you're doing turns like what I'm doing right now. It you know, I've had the same thing with my MSX, which I appreciated, and the Monster. And finally, this seat curves out, so when you're braking, it actually grabs the back of your leg, so it makes it easy to do faster brakes. I'm obviously not going very fast right now, but it really is multi-purpose. And then also this spring mount, if you want to change the kind of seat that you're using, it's put a different seat on. Very easy. You don't have to adjust. You don't have to change the mount at all. You can just swap seats. Okay, so sitting down, look at that. Barely have to. It's so comfortable compared to the standard MSX seat. For me, where you really have to. It's more work. This piece of cake, just standing up, no problem. Oh yeah, it's great. And these spring mounts that they, you know, again, sell for bicycles, the reason they sell these is that they provide kind of an enhanced shock absorber effect. And you can tell it when you're sitting in this. It's nice and springy. Not too springy, but it's perfect. So I can, the way I have the seat position right now, super simple, just to go fast. I can slow down nicely. This is great, guys. And you guys who want to ride seated on your Nikola, this might be something to try out if you haven't thought about it before. And you guys who are really anti seated riding, I just don't get it. I don't think you've tried it. It's really fun. I don't ride around town, or I'm doing trails and stuff like that. I'm not sitting, but I do a fair amount of riding when you're just riding straight for some miles, more or less, and it's comfortable to sit down. Gives your feet a rest. It's more efficient, I think. Less surface area hitting the wind. All right, so this is definitely a winner for me. I love it. I think I'm going to adapt this block technique on my MSX too, or my upcoming MSP. It'll be a little more work because of the handle design, but I think it'll be more stable, and it'll bring the seat up just a little bit higher, which I'm really enjoying. All right, guys, I hope this was useful to you, interesting, and I will I will see you later. Bye.